Hi everyone, my name is Isabel Tanner, and I just want to take a moment to say how grateful I am for this experience. My freshman year, I heard about this conference. Sophomore year, I was lucky enough to get tickets with my dad and come and see all the startups and sit in on panels from experts in their field. And my junior year, I'm here presenting, so truly a surreal experience. Thank you so much to MIT Sloan for putting this on, and I cannot wait to introduce to you the future of hydration with Lyte20. So as a competitive athlete myself, I play competitive club soccer in the ECNL League. I also play soccer for my school. I do lacrosse, track. I'm very active. So a common problem I identified among my peers and I was that we were always dehydrated. And no matter the amount of classes we carried our Stanleys or Wallas around to, or many Gatorades we chugged before games, we always were left feeling lethargic, or like we couldn't push ourselves in the last 10 minutes of the game where we knew we could. We knew we were in the shape to which we could. And so I kind of did some more research because I thought, granted we're playing in 110-degree Texas weather most of the time, so of course we're going to be dehydrated, but I knew it wasn't just us. So I came across these statistics. 70% of athletes are dehydrated at the time of competition, and 20% of serious athletic injuries can be fully attributed to inadequate hydration and electrolyte imbalances. So as I was doing this research, coming across these drawing statistics, I was also concurrently enrolled in my chemistry and biology classes. So I was learning about electrolytes, very baseline level, but electrolytes and how they function in our bodies. And using this newfound knowledge and these statistics and extra research I was doing, I identified three main problems. The first being that athletes struggle with drinking enough water. No matter which way you slice it, athletes always have a hard time allocating time to hydration and hydrating themselves meaningfully. Two, athletes experience low electrolyte levels after extreme exertion. We all hear the stories of marathoners who couldn't finish the race because they were having heart palpitations, even though they were in the peak shape of their life. They're running marathons for fun, so it's crazy. And the third problem is their lack of personalization among sports drinks. You know them all: Gatorade, Powerade, Body Armor, industry titans, but they cater to the whole. And what I want to do with Lyte20 is focus on personalization, because with hydration, something that has dramatic effects on your performance, it needs to be personalized. So that's why I came up with Lyte20, the smart electrolyte release water bottle paired with a sweat sensor. Our motto is that every drop counts, every move matters, and that Lyte20 isn't just water, it's fuel. So let me take a deep dive into how our patent-pending technology works. First, you have a sweat sensor. Before a workout, you put the sweat sensor on your forearm or any place that excretes the most sweat, and it uses capillary action to suck up the sweat through the microfluidic device and disperse it between the 4 different channels. In the channels, there are 4 different color indicators, each corresponding to an electrolyte. The ones I'm working with now are sodium, magnesium, potassium, and chloride. So depending on the deepness of color that is in each of these branches, you're able to scan the sweat sensor with your phone after a workout and see the amount of electrolytes lost. Now, you don't have to interpret any of the numbers. It directly dispenses through smart electrolyte cartridges housed in the lid of the water bottle into your water to optimally hydrate you. So all of the sweat data can be housed or seen in the app, but you're also able to see the status of your electrolyte cartridges, so when you need to refill them, and you're able to input your body statistics, such as your height, your weight, your gender. For women, even sometimes your menstrual cycle affects your hydration. Your locations, because conditions and temperature and humidity all affects that as well. So just gaining more data on that. So for a cost breakdown, my bottle and 4 electrolyte cartridges, which I like to call my starter pack, wholesale will go for about $22 and retail will go for $55. My cartridge refill, which is my individual cartridge, wholesale will go for $2.50 and retail $6.50. And then my sweat sensors, which are disposable after each use, come in packs of 20, and wholesale will go for 20 to 30, retail will go for 40 to 60. And I forgot to mention, my cartridge refills last about a month from the concentration they're at now. And my cost of goods for my bottle and 4 cartridges will be about $11, so that gives me a 60% profit margin for the retailer and 50% for Lyte20. So kind of looking at the total addressable market, I want to target health-conscious individuals, which make up 37 to 40% of the population, and athletes or people who consider themselves consistently active, which make up 30 to 35% of the population. Now, if we're just looking at the United States, people who classify themselves as active, 13 to 60 years old, and make as much or more than $65,000 annually, that's about 55 million people just in the United States. And if we're kind of assuming a 0.5 market penetration over 3-4 years, that's in our cost of goods for our starter pack is $11. That's $27.5 million in revenue in the first couple years, and that's not even factoring in the cartridge refills and the sweat sensor repurchases, which would be kind of a monthly occurrence. So kind of looking towards the future, I want to continue to improve on my sweat sensor. Everything right now is proof of concept and pre-seed, so I want to refine my electrolyte trackers and explore different delivery methods. That's kind of I've been working on this past couple months. I kind of power the electrolyte dispenser through a microservo and a peristaltic pump system to kind of pump out the correct amount. And I also just launched the pre-order button on my website about last week. I have around 60 pre-orders right now, so I urge you to go and pre-order a bottle if you want one to optimize your hydration and gain the edge. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great presentation. I too suffer from this as well. You mentioned the sweat sensor, putting that on your forearm. If I were to do that now, just sitting here, I'm not working out yet, but I'm going to go for a run.
Yeah.
How much is that going to help at that stage? And then how quickly can your body respond to that personalized electrolyte solution if you're sort of mid-game or mid-competition?
Yeah, so I guess the sweat sensor right now is programmed to hydrate after the competition. So thinking about like tournament weekends when, like for me, I would have these grueling 3-day tournaments where I'm playing in the 115-degree heat, and I can't do it. I don't know how I did it. But putting these on before a game, reading kind of, oh, this is what I need to rehydrate myself in the best way for my next game at noon, would kind of be the best way to go about it. So it works through sweat. So you have to be sweating in order to gain the data.
Isabel, first of all, you're a junior in high school, so the idea that you have this entrepreneurial prowess is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Congrats. So I have irresponsible kids that lose 1,000 water bottles a year. That's $22,000 based on your price point. No, my point being, as you think about the hardware piece and potentially the proprietary tech that will improve with the chip, how do you think about a more software play where you can use maybe Apple phones or other types of sensors that people may be wearing anyway, and then on the bottle end, even a more versatile lid for existing water bottles?
Yeah.
I just think about the cost and capital intensity as you iterate and this technology improves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've kind of been thinking about that too, because I'm like, why can't I just put this on top of my Stanley or my Weller water bottle that I already have? So I'm definitely thinking about trying to just make it into a lid itself, because that's kind of where the product is. For the sweat sensor aspect, I'm trying to make it almost as cheap as possible because I want it to be disposable, but I've also explored, what if I integrate this into an Apple Watch band? Because it's a microfluidic device, and then you know how you can like flip the Apple Watch bands out and then just scan it from there, or even like an Aura ring or a Whoop. So like partnering with that and seeing how I can integrate my kind of technology into that is definitely something I've been thinking about. So it's a great point you bring up.
So kind of building on both of their questions, how do you think about integrating with Apple and those other, they're already doing health diagnostic tracking to pre-plan your hydration strategies?
Yeah. I think, well, the biggest thing for me is I want it to be precise. I don't know, I think partnering with Apple would be a dream come true, right? So any partnership would be amazing, but I guess since Apple's they hold their cards close to their chest, I don't know necessarily what they're doing with hydration, but right now I'm working together to bring all the variables of personalized hydration that Gatorade and Powerade have kind of dipped their toes into. So just doing the best I can with that, knowing the knowledge that I have. But that's a great point you bring up.
First of all, congrats on bringing all this together.
Thank you.
As it turns out, a month ago, my son did pass out at the end of the practice because of dehydration.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
thankfully he's all fine and everything.
Yeah.
But I understand the problem here. So my two questions are: can you speak to kind of who is behind the sciencey part of the of this? I guess, and maybe it's yourself. But and then the other point is kind of building on the prior question. For basketball, they have 2 hours practice, and my son is 13. I mean, he should have known better, but it would be very helpful to have something that actually in the practice he can also utilize right away. So do you have plans to accelerate the usage, the ability to use it during your practice?
Yeah, for the first question, kind of the science behind it. Again, I have a high school and a little bit more knowledge of chemistry and biology and how it works. So I've kind of looked at some research papers, and Gatorade has actually done a lot of research on this and kind of like a colorimetric analysis and how that works. So I know the science is out there and kind of like the backing behind it. And I guess for real-time sweat analysis and kind of looking at it and not just after a workout, that's definitely something I want to explore because, again, for your son, like he wants to be hydrated in the middle of his practice, just not when he's done, so he can increase his performance during the practice. So yeah, I have to figure out some way to do that, but it's definitely something I'm thinking about.
Since you're kind of basing this around personalization of the need, how do you think about how you tailor the release of the electrolytes based on unique biochemistry for each person's needs? Not just how much they've been sweating. Like, what's the next step here in the evolution?
I'm a little confused by how you phrased that. Do you mean like the releasing of the electrolytes or like the taste?
Each unique biochemistry has different response needs to reach hydration levels properly, right? How do you dial in more specific prescriptions of this is what levels of electrolytes need to be released for this person?
Okay, I think I get what you're saying now. Great question. So I think that's kind of where like the body statistics part of my app comes in, because again, the research I've done, the research I can do, shows that depending on your gender, you have different sweat rates, and maybe you have more potassium come out than sodium or chloride or magnesium, stuff like that, and also the conditions that you're in. So I think gaining that data and having our users put in that data along with kind of, oh, this was their actual sweat rate and this is what they secreted during this workout in this location can help us kind of build an algorithm around that. Okay, well, thank you so much. It was great presenting.